With the recent 10-year anniversary of Mario & Luigi Dream Team, combined with a decent amount of folks requesting I talk some more about the Mario & Luigi series in general, I wanted to take the time in this video to go over who I believe are the top 10 best bosses across all 5 games. This was definitely a hard list to put together because of how well done so many of these bosses are though. There were some that just barely didn't make the top 10. Of course, don't be afraid to tell me your favorite bosses in the comments below, especially if it differs a lot from the list I present today. But anyways, let's move on. Number 10, Chuckle-Later. I honestly don't care. Chuckle Hook Woods was always one of my favorite areas in all of the Mario and Luigi games. When Mario games are able to execute forest areas well, it really hits different, man. The music, the enemies, the different ways the brothers had to get the colored Chocola fruit, it was all great. The stakes felt really high too, like they need to move their asses and get this Chocola Reserve or Queen Bean over there is gonna kick the bucket. So when the duo finally reaches the destination of this magical soda, you can imagine my surprise as a first-time player when it eventually turned into a monster fueled by the power of jokes. Do bats like baseball? It felt like such a good yet funny way to conclude this part of the journey. The boss fight can be a bit tricky at times too. At least it was for me when it came to properly timing inputs to dodges like a gun blob attack. Eventually, Chuckle-Later will shrink and his master Bubbles will come out every now and then to heal him with the power of corny jokes. Depending on how much is healed, Chuckle-Later can even turn big again. Just a very charming fight all around. Number 9, Popple and Rookie. Specifically the second fight with them in Woohoo University's basement. I think most of us can agree that the Popple and Rookie fights, although easy, are some of the more iconic fights in the Mario & Luigi series. Like, up there with the likes of Fawful and other final bosses, debatably. It mainly comes down to how charming Popple and this brainwashed version of Bowser are. They just feel like the evil versions of Mario and Luigi in many ways, in the sense that they're some of the only bosses fought as a pair in the entire game to mirror the paired fighting style of the Mario Bros, while also just having the classic trope of a duo with the leader being the loudmouth weak fighter and the other being the dumb muscle who obeys whatever the loudmouth wants. I don't know if there's a specific name for that trope I'm referring to here, but I like it. This is another fight that has a lot of stakes to it too. The Bean Star of all things is being fought for, and this is the most powerful object in the entire Bean Kingdom. Losing here would, spell disaster, and Popple and Rookie make sure to make it tougher than they did the first time. Now having their own Bros attacks to further mirror the Mario Bros fighting style. Attacks like creating multiple shockwaves together, or Rookie lighting Popple on fire and throwing him at one of the Mario Bros. I can't forget the theme. My god, this theme. Easily in my top 5 battle-related tracks in the whole series. The Superstar Saga remake fumbled by not using the remix version of this theme in the Bowser Castle Fawful fight. It's major miss. Number 8, Big Massive. This guy is the reason I started going to the gym. But seriously, this guy was one of the most lovable side characters in Dream Team for me, which is part of the reason his boss fight just felt so fun. The stakes were still there because the brothers need Big Massive's help to climb Mount Pajamaja, but this fight was more so Big Massive testing the brothers' skills rather than wanting to defeat or, kill them, hence making this boss more unique than most of the others in the game. His fighting style really felt like a proper final trial to the area given the prior context / trials the brothers had gone through before fighting, Thunder Sass, Heavy Zest, and Sorrow Fist. Big Massive's fighting style is essentially a combination of all 3. Beef Cloud is the one outlier here who wasn't included since his entire gimmick was based off sleeping and healing. The difficulty is there too. The inputs to dodge his moves felt as tough, if not a little tougher than Chuckle-Later's. And that's mainly what's giving Big Massive the slight edge over Popple and Rookie. Those two were just a lot easier to take down for me, even the second time, than Big Massive's one and only fight. Number 7, Shiny RoboBowser. The final form of Bowser and Paper Bowser's combined powers. Initially, I wasn't even sure if I was going to include any of the Paper Jam fights on my list, because a good chunk of them just didn't have that same charm as others from the previous titles. I'm not trying to imply they were all bad, obviously, but it was hard to figure out if any of them were top 10 material for me. And I do think this one deserves its praises. The Mario & Luigi series has traditionally given Bowser an alternate super form to be dealt with at the end of each game, and Paper Jam was no exception. With regular Bowser wearing the combined forces of his paper counterpart and other paper baddies as armor, the threat these two posed was a big one. The music transitioning into a much more epic track once the transformation is complete just really gets you going. Messing up even once could mean life or death in this fight too. The damage output from this Bowser is incredibly high. Unless you put almost all of your level up points into defense or HP, you're bound to take over 100 damage from one of his attacks if you can't counter it properly. He's even got his own version of the trio attack hammer that works just like the Mario Bros trio hammer setup. You gotta know which Bros attacks to use as well if you want them dead quick. Mainly fire related ones are the way to go to burn that paper right off. I do wish more of the bosses in Paper Jam could have given given me even close to the same feeling as this one did. Number 6, Princess Shroob. I know Partners in Time bosses sort of get the short end of the stick due to how unbalanced Bros attacks were in this game, but Princess Shroob's boss fight is still an amazing one to me. The Shroob race as a whole just felt more threatening than any other cast of baddies in the Mario and Luigi series. I know most of what was happening was in the Mushroom Kingdom's past, but visiting all these areas and seeing just how ruined they'd become because of the Shroobs was kind of scary as a kid. Toad Town in particular felt really eerie because of all the houses having Shroob spores growing out of them and toads turned into non-sentient Shroobs, and all of this is rooted from the princess herself. Her attack variety was nothing to scoff at. Before you're even allowed to damage her, the Bros would have to break the giant shield around her floating throne, and if you wanted this done quickly, you'd need to use a bunch of jumping related Bros attacks. Once out of her chair, she can even attack you multiple times in a row using energy spheres in different ways, whether that be teleporting above you, firing one directly at you, or in a wave motion. Lots of these attacks can add status effects to the Bros like poison or dizziness if you're hit. If you're good enough at copy flower or pocket chomp inputs, then she's probably not too hard, but she still feels scary in a way, and I very much like that, especially for someone who wasn't even technically the final boss for this game. Number 5, Bowletta / Cacletta's Soul. Cacletta had already been putting the Mario Bros through hell and back during her earlier appearances in the game, but after her soul took over Bowser's body, she was just a whole different beast. With Bowser's entire Koopa Troop and Bowser's natural abilities under her command, she was now stronger than ever before, capable of fire breath attacks and causing stars to fall from the sky. Defeating her in Bowser's body isn't even enough either. The brothers are later forcefully sucked into Bowser's body where they have to confront Cacletta's soul head on, starting off with 1 HP each. This aspect in particular made this fight very infamous for its insane difficulty spike. It was very similar to Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door in the sense where just about every boss prior to the endgame was fairly easy and things just got cranked up to 1,000 once you're in the game's final trial. Cacletta's soul has an insane attack variety from arm swings, laser eyes, fire trail creation, electrified energy balls, and even creating a clone of Fawful to use headgear blasts. With the only way to properly damage her is through attacking the heart, which won't be exposed until you do enough damage to her head and both arms. The very fast-paced music track for this boss really helps amp things up too. Like, damn, I need to get this taken care of ASAP type of feel. I remember being stuck on this boss as a kid for just so long, and the sense of accomplishment I felt when I finally beat her for the first time was amazing. Number 4, Elder Princess Shroob. Partners in Time's true final boss. When I was younger, I never really paid a whole lot of attention to the dialogue in RPGs I played, so when the existence of Elder Princess Shroob was revealed to me for the first time, it felt a tad random. But during the Star Hill portion of the adventure, when the Elder Princess Shroob disguises herself as the spirit of the Cobalt Star, baby Luigi is able to pick up on the charade and starts crying in fear, which means it was foreshadowed. And I think there were other moments that hinted at this, but this one was one of the bigger ones. So to find out that the thing powering Egad's time machine that the brothers were working so hard to get unleashed the Shroob's most powerful asset, it was quite the wake-up call. Although the transition from younger Princess Shroob to Elder Princess Shroob isn't as severe as the Bowletta to Cacletta's Soul transition was, it's still very intense to be thrown right into another boss fight with no breaks in between, especially once you're under the impression everything was dealt with. Elder Princess Shroob is much stronger both physically and magically compared to her younger sister. Even after her base form is dealt with, Elder Princess Shroob will transform into a giant tentacled beast with a background music change to boot. I really loved how she looked more alien-like here than any other Shroob-related character so far. It just really hits the nail on the head how she and her people are an invasive alien species willing to do anything to keep their people alive, even if it means destroying the Mushroom Kingdom. Like Cacletta's Soul, she has multiple parts of her body with their own HP bars that need to be dealt with before proper damage can be done to her head. Mixed Flowers are definitely her best friend in this fight because of the absurd AoE power they have. It's really unfortunate how Alpha Dream never got a chance to remake this game before the company went under. I would have loved to see the rest of the Shroob clan in this 3DS style. Oh well. Number 3, Giant Bowser versus Giant Dreamy Luigi. Back when the concept of the giant battles were introduced in Inside Story, I thought they were a pretty solid addition to the game to mix up the gameplay style for certain bosses. I wasn't a huge fan of having to hold the 3DS/3DS sideways at first, but eventually got used to it and enjoyed the fights a lot more as a result. Inside Story giant battles were cool for sure, but I'm obviously super biased when it comes to Dream Team because Luigi's the one doing the fighting. Every time Luigi had to go giant mode, he'd get scared without fail, until the Giant Bowser fight. This final giant fight was the first time he was totally confident and ready to duke it out. It just hits hard because not only is Bowser, who's a bigger threat than the previous 4 giants Luigi's had to face, but it just shows how far Luigi has come since the start of the game. All the previous challenges he's faced have prepared him for this moment and he's ready to go. I just love how most of this fight felt like one giant sumo match to see who could take more damage from the lava below. There's just something about seeing Luigi match Bowser in a duel of raw physical strength that just makes me so happy. It's got the Mario 64 reference with Luigi spinning Bowser on the tail, a Beyblade style second phase, and an insane finisher with Luigi having to deflect a giant fireball back into an even bigger version of Bowser than before. It's just such an epic way to conclude the giant battle portions for this game. Number 2, Dreamy Bowser. When it comes to just the aesthetic look of a boss alone, this version of Bowser would have to be at the number 1 spot, I think. The rainbow pattern around his body, the pupilless eyes, and the sacred dreamstone attached to his torso area, the developers were cooking with this design, dude. Cooking. His battle is just as well designed too. The way almost all of his attacks require some kind of multitasking between Mario and Luigi to overcome is such a great way to test all the skills you've honed from previous boss encounters. Personally, I felt like the trickiest attack to deal with was whenever you grab one of the brothers with one arm and just had to hold onto them for a bit until throwing them, and preventing Bro's attacks from being used until the brother is rescued. Gotta make sure to catch him when Bowser throws him too, or else Bowser will just grab him again. Even with the Bros attacks like Z-Egg and the Star Racket, Dreamy Bowser can still heal himself in the background while his dream minions stall you. There's definitely an argument to be made for this fight actually being harder than Cackleta's Soul was. I'm sure, to not many surprise, the number 1 spot goes to Dark Bowser in the Dark Star Core. This boss fight is probably in most people's top 10 for the Mario and Luigi series, but let's be real here, it's very deserving of that. This boss fight was the perfect way to incorporate both styles for this game's gameplay of Bowser in the overworld and the Mario Bros inside him. The way Bowser proclaims the Mushroom Kingdom belongs to him before the fight was such a cool moment. Being able to actually root for Bowser for once is just great. Not a whole lot of Mario games are capable of that, and this one did it best. Mario and Luigi being the ones to deal with the Dark Star Fawful fusion was just perfect. I'm very glad he was still a part of that fight. Fawful really had come a long way from being Cackleta's lackey to one of the biggest threats the Mushroom Kingdom had faced, and Mario and Luigi being the ones to deal with him in specific was the right choice for sure. In the music, my god, the music. Easily the most iconic song from the Mario and Luigi series, let's be real here. Shout out to Yoko Shimomura for the incredible work on that music track, and she is responsible for tons of amazing songs from the Kingdom Hearts series and the Final Fantasy series in particular, so to have her pop off this hard for a Mario and Luigi game is nothing short of astounding. That ending too, the way the fight ended, just seeing Bowser pound the life out of Dark Bowser with enough force to just eradicate his body from existence, I think we can all agree this boss fight is a major reason as to why Bowser's Inside Story became the most popular Mario and Luigi game of all time. I really can't say anything bad about it. Well, like I said earlier, be sure to tell me who your favorite bosses are from these games in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Nintendo related content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye bye.